You know, for decades, the Cold War felt like something we studied in history books, right? A huge power struggle that basically defined the 20th century. But what if I told you it never really ended? What if it just rebooted for the 21st century? Today, we are diving into what a lot of people are calling the single most important geopolitical reality of our time, a new Cold War. So let me just ask you that straight up. Is the Cold War really over? I mean, it seems like a simple question. We all saw the Berlin Wall come down in '89. For most of us, that was it, the end. But, well, a whole lot of analysis now suggests that was just the end of a chapter, not the end of the book. And this quote just captures that shift perfectly. The idea of a new Cold War has gone from some fringe theory kicked around in academic circles to, well, the main way to understand global power today. It's not a future prediction, it's happening right now. And believe me, the rules of the game have been completely rewritten. So, to really get what makes this new conflict so different, we've got to look back at the original blueprint. Seriously, understanding Cold War I is absolutely essential to see how it set the stage for the world we're all living in today. Okay, so this is basically a whirlwind tour through a 45-year global standoff. It kicked off with the policy of containment, then it escalated like crazy to nuclear brinkmanship during the Cuban Missile Crisis. I mean, that was terrifyingly close, and it all wrapped up with the symbolic fall of the Berlin Wall. This was a conflict fought not just with armies, with proxies, with propaganda, and with that constant, chilling threat of total annihilation hanging over everyone's heads. When that war ended, it left the US as the world's only superpower. It was this unipolar moment. But here's the thing, it wasn't a clean slate. It left behind a resentful Russia and, this is so crucial, it created the perfect vacuum for China to begin its quiet but absolutely meteoric economic rise. The seeds of today's conflict, they were planted right there. All right, so that was the past. But you know that saying, history doesn't repeat, but it often rhymes? Well, now we're pivoting to the present. Cold War 2.0 is being fought on completely new battlegrounds with completely new weapons. This slide just nails the fundamental shift. The first Cold War was a pretty clear clash of ideologies, right? Capitalism versus communism. Today, the central fight isn't about ideology. It's a new kind of arms race for technological supremacy, and specifically for dominance in artificial intelligence. We're talking everything from advanced microchips to who builds the most powerful AI models. And that brings us to a new metaphor for our era. Forget the Iron Curtain. Today, people are talking about the Silicon Curtain. It's not a physical wall, obviously, but it's a digital and economic barrier. It's built out of computer code, out of export controls, and out of competing tech standards. And it's all designed to carve up spheres of influence in the age of AI. Just think about it this way. In the old Cold War, power was measured in throw-weights, the sheer destructive force of your nuclear arsenal. Today, the new measure of power is compute weight, the processing power of your data centers and the smarts of your AI. The nation that wins the race for compute could very, very well win the 21st century. And here is the paradox that makes this whole new era so complex and, frankly, so dangerous. The idea behind globalization was that it would tie us all together, making a major conflict unthinkable because our economies are so intertwined. But it turns out that very interdependence, those global supply chains, those financial systems, has become the battlefield itself. And hey, it's not just happening in the digital world. A new physical frontier is opening up. As climate change melts the polar ice, the Arctic is transforming into what some are calling the new Mediterranean. It's a resource-rich region with strategic new shipping lanes, and it's quickly becoming a fresh arena for competition between the US, Russia, and China. Okay, so given all these complex new battlegrounds, how in the world do we navigate this new reality? The real challenge is to manage a global standoff without stumbling into an open conflict. So let's talk strategy. Navigating this really seems to require a three-pronged strategy. First, develop asymmetric strengths. So don't just copy your adversary, focus on what makes you unique. Second, reimagine alliances for the 21st century, focusing on tech and economics, not just military might. And third, and this might be the most crucial one, establish really strong communication channels to prevent misunderstandings from spiraling into a full-blown crisis. And really, this is the bottom line. Competition between great powers is probably inevitable, but the entire goal of any modern grand strategy has to be finding a way to compete, to vie for influence and advantage without it leading to a global catastrophe. The stakes are just way too high.
And that leaves us with the central question of our time. I mean, in the first Cold War, the two blocs could basically separate themselves. But today, we are all woven together. So how do we manage this intense rivalry without cutting the very economic and digital threads that our modern world depends on? That right there is the tightrope we are all now walking.